G'day folks, and welcome to Gormo Shed, and this is the final one. Yes, we finally got to that point where it's actually winding up the series of Gormo Shed. There's 150 odd shed episodes to look back on, and it's been going over 5 years now. So yeah, I just got to the point where I felt like I was doing things twice. I've got the Great Chesterford Junction YouTube channel, plus the Gormo Shed, which is done especially for Platform 1, but I'd just like to bring everything under the one umbrella now and just have the one thing going, which will be Great Chesterford Junction Model Railway. So it's been a pleasure to talk to you folks over the last 5 years or so from Gormo's Shed as part of Platform 1. So I hope you've enjoyed the journey. It's been a bit ordinary sometimes, and well, what can you do? You know, I'm still learning as I go as well, like everybody else. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you've had a reasonable year. I know it's been a bad year for everybody, and still is in some cases, so let's hope that next year is a better one. And I'd like to wish you a Merry Christmas and hopefully a happy and safe New Year. And I'd also like to leave you with the last sort of little project on Gormo's Shed. The other day I was asked by one of our members from South Australia, one of the Platform 1 members from South Australia, Ron, he asked me the question about how did I make those totems that I've got in my railway room. And I'll show you what he was asking about. So it's specifically these ones that are from the Keighley and Worth Valley Railway in England, and they are actually souvenirs that I picked up while I was there. And anyway, Ron asked me how I made them, and I obviously told him that I didn't make them, they were souvenirs. But I thought about it, and then I drew one up for Ron and sent it off to him. But I thought, well, you should be able to draw these things quite easily. And then I started thinking about this one that I had. This was sent to me by Toto in the early days of Platform 1, and this one, Toto had them made up by somebody in the UK, and he shipped them out to various moderators, and it's a very nice thing to have, and it looks like it's on a ply background, or it could even be MDF or something, but it's some timber, and I don't know, understand the printing process for these things, but you know, I thought, gee, I could probably make one of those. So the thing is, folks, when you look at it in the drawing program, it's not really very hard to do, but the thing is, you can make them pretty much to whatever size you want, and that's what Ron wanted for, I think, some of his rolling stock. So he wanted to make little signs to put on some of his rolling stock. So what we'll do is we'll go through and we'll try and make something very similar to the Platform 1 MRC totem that's on the wall that Toto sent me. We'll knock up one of those, but what you've got to bear in mind is that when I show you how to do it, you can make the dimensions whatever you want to, and the text and the colours and all that sort of thing. It's entirely up to you, but it's really quite easy to do. It's one of the easiest ones to do in the drawing program. So yeah, we'll go through that and we'll have a look. And anyway, I'll do that now and I'll leave you with it, and then I'll see you at the end. Right folks, for this totem I've taken some measurements off it so that I can get close to it, and I looked at it and I thought, well, it should pretty much fit on an A4 page in landscape orientation. So I've taken the measurements of the width of both of the elements in it, and the height of both elements, and just an approximate on the width of the border there. So with those measurements we can sort of go into the drawing program and sort of kick on and see how we go. Right folks, the first thing we have to do is go into the LibreOffice drawing program. So we get into LibreOffice, then drawing. Now, because this image is fairly wide, it'll be very difficult to draw it in the portrait orientation, so we will change it to the landscape orientation. which virtually changes the page. That's all, it just flips it to landscape. You can see we're on an A4 page. Now the totem is 280 millimeters wide, and to draw a totem I would go into the tool selection for the shapes and everything, and we picked the rounded rectangle. So we'll just put a rounded rectangle here to start with anyway. And what we'll do is set up the actual size of this. That can be our horizontal piece, that's the wide piece. We can right click and select position and size and determine the size within here. So 280 millimeters is 28 centimeters. So we will go up to 28 centimeters. And we're looking at 47 millimeters in height, so 4.7 centimeters. So we'll just bring that down a bit. 4.7, click OK. And if we drag that across, that looks like it's just a bit too wide, folks. It's just going outside the print margins on the page there. So we might do a sort of a manual adjustment here and just bring that in just a bit on each side, just a little bit. When it lets me do it. There we go. Right. Now we've got our size, or our new adjusted size ready. So now it's a matter of determining the shape, and you do that by just selecting this little dot up in the top left hand corner here, click and drag it, and it will give you the totem shape. Now the thing that's missing on this part of the totem is the actual white border. Now you can create a white border by changing the line thickness and the colour of the line that borders this actual element here. So we will go down into the line width and we'll put in a custom width of, let's say 12. That looks pretty good. And we'll leave the colour as it is at the moment. We want a white border on there, but you're not going to see a white border on a white background. So that's our main element in the totem. So now we need to add the other central element, which is again a rounded rectangle. So we select the rounded rectangle tool again, and we'll just put that in there, and we will right click, select position and size, and we can work off the size that I measured up in the shed. So it's 16 centimeters wide and 8 centimeters high. So we'll go up to 16 centimeters wide. I suppose because I've reduced the overall width I could make it slightly less, but we'll stick with the original measurements. And so we're looking at 8 centimeters high, so we'll bring that down to 8. There we go, OK, and move that roughly into position. We will also do the line width on that so it matches the first element that we did, which is, what did we say it was, 12. That's good, and we'll leave the line colour as it is for the moment. Now, obviously, this is in front of the main bit, so we need to get that behind the other piece. So we simply right click, go to Arrange, Send Backward. Now the other thing we need to do is to centralize these shapes horizontally and vertically. We need to get them centered. So what we do is we'll click on the main one. Now we'll hold the Shift key and click on the center one. They're both selected now. Now we right click and go to Align, and first of all we will go Align Centered, which deals with the horizontal problem, and we'll go back now to Align and we'll go down to Center here, which deals with the vertical situation. So now those are both perfectly centered. Now to see the white background, or the white border I should say, properly, we need to change the colour of the background. So we'll go over here to background, and you can see at the moment we don't have a background. So we'll put in a colour, and we will select a colour for the background of black, so that now we can see it. Whatever we put in there, we will be able to see it. So we'll do the back one first. We'll go back to the line colour tool here, and we'll just select the colour we want, which is white. And now we will select the front element, same story, select white. So there we have it. Now looking at that back element, even though it's rounded, I think we could improve on that. I'm not quite 100% on liking the shape of that, so we'll just move up to this little dot and just drag that in a bit. Yeah, I think that looks better. I think we'll go with that. Now we need to add some text, so we'll select the text tool and create a box down here for the text to go into. And we want it fairly big, so we'll sort of start with about, select the text size, we'll start with about 32, see how that goes. Now we'll type in some text. That still looks fairly small, doesn't it? So we'll just highlight that, and we'll make it a bit bigger by making it bold, which is still not very big. We will also add a shadow to it, and now we will use this here, this tool A with the up arrow, which increases the size of the text until we get somewhere towards a size that seems to work. Now because it's so big, it's sort of jumped down to the next line in the text box, so we need to drag the right hand side of the text box to allow it to all be on the one line. That's not too bad. I will just move that up with the up arrow and centralize it a bit better. That's not too bad actually. We might go with that one. We'll just leave it there. I could make it bigger, I suppose, but I think that looks fine. Yep, we'll go with that. Now, on the original totem that was sent to me by Toto, up here in the top section here he's got Gormo, and down the bottom he's got Moderator. So, I mean, you don't have to do anything like that, especially if it's specifically for your railway. Normally you probably wouldn't have anything in those sections. You could have, like, you could put junction in there, like I have Great Chesterford Junction. I could have Great Chesterford through this section here, and then just under there I could have junction. You could do things like that, and obviously the colours are entirely up to you, but we might put something just in this bottom section here. So we'll select the text tool again and make a little box, and we will type in, all in uppercase, final episode. Now we will also make that bold, and we'll play with the size. So we'll make that bold, still not very big. We'll give it the shadow effect, and we will increase its size. Maybe one more, maybe another one. Okay, now we will select the box and just move it into position, roughly there. That's not too bad. I think that's about it. Right, now there we are. So it's as simple as that, folks. Yeah, obviously you can save this as JPEGs or PNG files or bitmaps. You can export it as PDF. You do whatever you like. If you want to send it off to somebody to print it for you, I would suggest saving it as a PDF. So if you wanted to do that, you would export here as a PDF. If you select this tool here, export gives you all sorts of other options for the JPEGs or bitmaps, etc., etc. But PDF's a universal file sort of system, really. So yeah, that's how it's all done. Okay folks, well that's it. That's I hope you enjoyed that. That's a relatively easy thing to do, and thanks for subscribing to the channel. And as I said before, it's been a pleasure to have you all on board for 5 years in Gormo's shed, and I hope you stick around for Great Chesterford Junction as well. So once again, Merry Christmas and a happy and safe New Year to all of you. All the best. Cheers. Gormo.